Okay, well, I'll call the meeting to order at 6:02 PM. I don't think we have Laura, but Kate is on TV and the rest of the board is here. Laura was in the room earlier and I don't know where she went. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda from anybody? And I can't see the board at all, so. Yeah. Can we move it? Yeah. Go ahead, Bob.
You might need an addition to the agenda for the side letter that I emailed you about. Lori has a signed copy of it.
Well, we're gonna go in executive session for that anyway, Bob, so we should be good for that. If nobody else does, I would like to ask if we have an executive session for a legal issue. And I'd like to do it first thing because we have, we only have the superintendent for a little bit. So if I can get a motion to have an executive session for a legal issue, can you do that for me?
Me?
Yeah.
Motion go into an executive session
For legal issues.
for
And I don't-
legal issue.
And I don't have all the wording.
I think it's on the same second page.
There's wording on the second page. Oh, good. Go ahead and read that.
Move defining the premature general public knowledge regarding. No?
It's not right. Just,
Let's go into executive session.
for legal matters, that would put the board at substantial disadvantage at the school board at risk if discussed in public. Is that okay?
Gotcha.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you, Kate. Is Laura back in yet? No. Okay, and then can I get the second motion there, sir?
This one here.
Yeah.
I make a motion for the board to enter executive session under Title I, Section 313 of Vermont Statutes Legal Consultation 313A1.
Do we have a second? We have a motion by Mike and a second by Dwight. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, it appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative, which it is. Okay, so we're out of executive session at 6:21. And the superintendent will respond to a letter that was sent to us and notify the board what the attorney says. So moving on, I got members of the public. And I can't see very well, folks, so I got members of the public. I got David, Bridget, Dana, Meredith, no, Meredith's taking minutes, Janet, Morgan, and Alan. Any of y'all got something? Dana?
No, sir.
Well, thank you, Dana, sorry. Janet? Oh, go ahead, Alan.
Hey, I'm sorry, Rich. Thanks. Just real quick, I haven't been around for a little bit, but I was just wondering if on the agenda was any update on the website for the school for Dover School.
No, but we can bring that up under old business, and Chad, I think, can have an update for us, okay?
I appreciate that, Rich. Thank you.
Yeah. David, Janet, anybody else? Bridget? Oh, I'm sorry, Bridget, you'd be under members of the staff, I think.
No, thank you.
Okay. Members of the staff, Bridget, did you have anything?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Were you back yet?
I am.
Oh, cool. You didn't bring the rain, did you?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I'm going to go to Wardsboro Playground update. So, I'm sorry. I'd like to introduce, for the first time, both our administrators together. Can you just introduce yourself and say a couple words? And he's going to put the camera on you.
So I don't have to mute it, right?
No.
Okay, perfect. So, hello, I'm Donna Basic, the new principal at Wardsboro Elementary School. So happy to be here. Started July 1st and been getting to know the community and teachers, doing some informal listening tours, and it's been great. I can't wait to see more of the students. I've seen a couple of them playing baseball down at the field, and look forward to this school year. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd also like to recognize that, Wardsboro got hurt pretty bad on the July flood. And we got a call, and I talked with Bob, and they wanted to do a relief center here over the weekend, I think of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And she was right down here, I think all 4 days. I know Laura was here for a little bit. I know Bob reached out to her and she jumped right on it for her. So it was, I hopefully got to meet some community members from that.
We did, yeah, approximately, I would say 35
Okay.
families. And the American Red Cross was here, FEMA, Laura was here, appreciated her. We really had some really great conversations with the community, so I was happy to be here.
And I know, Tracy, this is not your first meeting as the principal, but we haven't had like an open meeting. It was a specific meeting. So if you want to say a few words too.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I've been busy, just like Donna, over the last few weeks. For me, it wasn't meeting people. I'm busy doing schedules and trying to get to know the systems. And I had a really great time at the leadership retreat with Bob and the rest of the team. I got a chance to spend some time with Donna, and I'm really excited for this school year.
Thank you. So can you give us an update on the Wardsboro playground, or is that you?
I can do that. The expected delivery date is September 29th, and Greg will be working with Mitch Plimpton to remove and prep the week prior, and then the mulch will be coming the first week in October. So things are moving ahead with that. That's really the only update we have.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
Still on principals reports?
We're doing old business.
Oh,
So old business, it was Wardsboro playground.
okay.
Cool. Multi-age classroom, possible presentation. Tracy, I don't know, and Kate, hopefully you can remind me why we put that there.
Yes, I think there might have been some correspondence that we had gotten about the multi-age classroom.
Okay, Tracy, did you get to see the correspondence?
Yes, I saw some of them.
Okay, can you just summarize them for us?
So the correspondence I receive, some of the, there was some concerns about having two grade levels together. There was concerns about why we moved in this direction. I think it seemed like perhaps parents didn't have a voice and they wanted to share their concerns and reactions with me. So I gathered them, I met with Bob, and I sent out a response to all families in case, so there were some other people that had some questions or concerns. And just in case folks didn't understand what we were trying to do at Dover School, I had a little presentation, but it's not necessary to do it unless you would like that.
I think, is there anybody that'd like to see it from the board? Are we all set?
Tracy, this is all that was sent out in the packets, correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
The presentation for the multi-age was sent out in our board packets.
Yeah, I did send it to Sue, and just in case y'all want to see it, yes.
Okay, well then I think we're all set. Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
And
Quick
again,
question on that.
okay, hang on a second. Okay, and multi-age. Yep.
Yeah, does the multi-age classroom work with the IB program?
Yes.
It will?
Yes, I know that I did hear, I didn't receive anything personally sent to me about the IB and multi-age classrooms, but IB World Schools oftentimes doesn't even have grade levels like we do in the United States because it's an international program. So they generally will divide up by age level instead of a grade like we do in the United States. And there's a few schools in Washington State and in Florida who have multi-age IB World classrooms.
Okay, perfect. And I think everybody probably knows, but if you don't, that Tracy became one of our IB coordinators as a teacher. So she has, it's a lot of experience with it. And that's a nice thing because when Matt came into it, Matt had no experience with it. And then he has to run the building with an IB program. So I feel we were really fortunate that Tracy moved up so that we did have a lot of experience with the IB. So Tracy, and then just if you need anything with that, make sure you reach out to us, okay?
I will, thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Just clarifying, I believe that we were going to revisit this at the end of the year, just this conversation.
Well, we'll revisit it budget time.
Right. Well, we're coming up on budget time.
Yeah, just don't push it. It's still summer and we haven't had much of it, so I don't want summer. I know school starts in how many days, Bob and Tracy?
Yeah, how many days? Not counting?
Sorry for the fast forward.
Too soon, Rich, too soon.
I know, it's getting darker. It's early, it's dark when I go to work again.
23 days.
Oh.
20.
So
That's not bad.
along those lines, let me just wade out into dangerous territory and say, when we have this discussion at budget time, I do think about wanting us to be clear about the two buildings and that policy and how we arrived at that conclusion for both of those buildings.
Okay. I think he's still on the line, but we had a request to see what's going on with the web.
Yeah, from Alan, it's great. I'm glad you brought it up, Alan. We're in really great shape. The structure is very much ready to go. Last week, I was able to sit down with Donna and had conversations with Jen Finaldi here for the Wardsboro side, as well as emails back and forth with Lori at the Dover School. With some great feedback. We also had some board members that were able to tour through and give some superficial edits, which was, again, just fantastic. A couple things we have outstanding on the Dover side is just to review the archive newsletters to bring those up to speed. And then the question also became what to do with surveys that have since closed. And because right now it's only on the Dover side that we have a survey that's visible. So is that something we want to amalgamate and bring together the results? And we need to update the CIP for both schools. Again, that's a dated set. So we're now into the 2023 through 25 comprehensive improvement plan, which we do have copies of. So we're very in short order. We'll have that updated to the website. And Derek Bliss, who's in charge of our IT, is helping to make sure that we have all the permissions for the Google Drives that host everything from policies to past budgets, that they are open so that anybody who has access to that website once we go live will be able to click that button and review the information that they are looking for. Elements for the board to consider, we have just a couple items. One is getting some photographic headshots of each members of the board. We have a placeholder there ready to go. And then right now, frequent asked questions that we will be reviewing. Again, that's something that's going to prohibit us from going live. But at the moment, the FAQ segment is blank. So we're trying to come up with the questions that tend to be more frequently asked in general. Because I said that we do have an FAQ around or surrounding the registration. But that is very limited. The other element that we have going as a school district is moving into the ALMA registration system. So once that is set up, we'll have that integrated along with a great snapshot for troubleshooting for parents as they seek to get their students enrolled through that system once that is live and ready for us.
Alan, does that answer your question from earlier? I'm gonna.
I'm sorry, that was fine. The only thing is, I mean, do you have a sort of a timeline for like the draft approval and final approval? Any sort of longer term timelines for completion?
Well, the goal was to have this running live at the start of school. So that is still very much the intent. As I said, structurally speaking, we're there. So we are really just putting on that final coat of paint, if you will, to be able to turn this live and have it become the official website of the district, encompassing both over Wardsboro schools and the board directors.
That's great news, thank you.
Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. Thank you, Alan, for the question. Does anybody else have any old business? Old and moldy business? No? I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Bob, you want to do a 30-second superintendent's report before you leave us?
I have a question for Bob when he's done.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah, I haven't done written stuff yet. Been pretty. I thought I was going to have a nice quiet start to the July, but I've had anything but that. But we did have a good administrative retreat, as was mentioned. And Tracy and Don were both present. It was a pretty good time, and did a lot of really cool work, some great trainings for them as well. And I am headed to the VSA's new supers orientation on Wednesday and Thursday this week. So that will help. We were kind of getting settled in. Sue and I are really kind of getting in the flow of the mornings and executive session motions and the paperwork and all that, the timelines, and it's a lot to start out with. And as much prep as Bill could give me, there's still a huge learning curve. So appreciate everyone's patience on things. But yeah, it's been ridiculously busy for me starting out, and but we are plowing ahead and getting ready for new teacher orientation next week, and then full staff the week after, and then students the week after that. So it's coming along.
So I just want to let you all know that Bob, besides having not quite a full flood or not quite a tropical storm, also had a board chair resign in the middle of a meeting and had some other really interesting interactions. So he really has not only just hit the ground running, but full tilt. So Bob, don't forget, it's not going to be that bad for the next 10 years, I promise you, okay?
Happens in our meetings.
He says that to all the supers, Bob.
I have. None of them have lasted 10 years, Bob. Let's see if we can get you to last that long.
I'll last you, Rich.
Oh, thank you. That's a challenge.
That's scary.
Challenge accepted.
Bob, I thank you for all that you're doing. I know you've had a lot of crazy things going on here. You'll remember I asked you back in the spring about, what plans you had for working with all the new administrators, and I'm just wanting to check in on that in the midst of all this chaos. If you could just tell us a little bit about how that's going.
Yep. So obviously there are quite a few new administrators, and Tracy, is a brand new administrator. Donna has been an administrator before, but new to us. So there's a lot of different variations on the idea. But the short version is each of the new principals who are new as leaders are receiving a mentor, and they are being paired up with somebody who's pretty regional, I would say, Southern Vermont. So they have that mentor relationship as well as Jen and I. In addition, we have two different, for you guys, it's really just one. We have an elementary coaching group being put together by the VPA and all of our elementary principals in the SU, led by Erica McLaughlin, who's one of the assistant directors at the VPA and an experienced elementary principal and an elementary principal of the year, and so on and so forth. she's going to be doing a coaching group with these guys on a monthly basis in addition to their mentoring. So in the secondary group, Leland Gray will also have a secondary guy doing that as well, Mike McGrath. So the supports are heavy, and these guys are going to have all the voices they need as they go through the complexities of being a principal.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Everybody else set with Bob? Okay, Bob, I think we're all good. Thank you. If you need to skedaddle, you can at any time.
All right, thank you, guys.
If it's okay, I'm going to bounce over to Lori. So there's a couple things I think I want to do with Lori. So the first thing is you should have had an unaudited summary of major fund balances as of the end of the year. And Lori's got some really, really good news that should make everybody here smile hard. Go ahead, Lori.
So I do have good news. The year ended with a $388,000 surplus, which is great. The bulk of that surplus you can point to on page 1 in the expenses under the 1101 direct instruction. You'll see a 5,500 line that's other purchase services. That is the secondary tuition. So the bulk of the savings really came from, if you recall, we had, when COVID happened, a lot of students moved in, and then we budgeted for those students and they went home or went out. So that's, the other parts of the budget are really some ins and outs along the way, but that really is where the bulk of the surplus came from. So that will be added to your reserve fund after the audit is complete and we have that number solid. So that'll give you, $1,143,983 in the reserve fund to be used, as we start into the new budget year. So that is very good news. Meanwhile, you also have, your capital is looking good. There are some projects out there, as you can see. The windows are getting done, so that will be reduced this year in fiscal year 24. The new bus for Dover did not come in by the end of fiscal year 23, so that will come out of 24's money, but the money's there. It was budgeted for. And if you recall on your articles of when the public voted, you moved $90,000 from your reserve to the capital and transportation, 70 and 20. So, that may be something you look to again instead of trying to raise capital money. So that is really, any questions on the?
I'd just like to say a couple quick things too. I understand a lot of it is, but we also got hurt pretty bad when COVID first happened.
Yes.
Because we had a lot more tuition students than we expected, and that's always kind of, but I'd still like to compliment you, and I'd like to compliment our admin people and our former administrators, because even though 315 of it, that still leaves 70,000 in a pretty tight budget. That, so it doesn't look like anybody just spends money because it's there. So I think that should be acknowledged.
Yeah, they did a nice job.
Yeah, no, they always have, and we've been very fiscally responsible. I mean, I don't know if there's another school in the district that has the kind of reserves that we do. At one time, we had more reserves than everybody else put together. So I think that's a testament to our voters and to the faith that they put in the board and in our work with Lori and stuff. So, and then the only other comment I wanted to make was, with interest rates coming up so nicely, are we getting better interest? Because for a long time, we used to actually make quite a bit of money on interest on the reserves. And then, when the rates drop to nothing, but I know you can buy a CD now. We just bought one for 5.5% for 6 months.
So I have talked to the bank about moving some money, reserve money into potentially a CD or maybe some treasury, short-term treasuries. Part of the hang-up is they want a solid investment policy, and We have one at WCSU that River Valleys could fall under, but it's very, very old. And, you know, a former board member we were gonna start working on it, and I just haven't had a chance to get back to it. So it is something we should look at, because interest rates will probably remain high at least through the end of this year. We'll see what happens next year, but we are making on just the what we call the sweep account, which is invested. It is somewhat of an investment. It's almost 3%, so it's like right around there. It's a lot better than you know, 0.01 or whatever it is that it used to be. So. So yeah, your interest is, you are making money on this money.
So Kate, is that something you can make a note? And I forget who your other confederate is on the policy committee, but I think VSBA or the business must have a model policy we can grab, and I don't think that's something you need to completely do. I think we can at least do that on ours.
Okay.
And maybe that should be fast tracked so we can take advantage of the rates.
Is it, which bank is we use?
M&T.
M&T.
It was People's, and
Yeah.
that was part of the merger.
Because they're offering, even for money market accounts, somewhere around 4 or 5%.
Yeah.
So it's definitely out there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to make sure that we're staying in some sort of protected account as well.
And
You know,
that's-
we
Oh, no
have
question.
collateralization agreements in place.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that? Okay, thank you, Lori. That's, you know, at least bringing us some good news, even though we know it's only 23 days until school starts. And then, Lori, while you're still here, has everybody got a chance to look at the financials? Yeah.
You know, just about the reserves, I just want to make sure that we say that, you know, our ability to kind of maintain property tax rates is really contingent upon us keeping a reserve of approximately this size there. So sometimes I think people don't understand why you would have a reserve like this. So it really helps us to keep things steady.
It allows us to keep everything up to speed in the capital expenditures for like transportation and for the buildings without having have a crazy tax rate for a few years. And it also allows us to buy down the tax rate, which we have. Last year was not a lot, but we didn't need a lot, but we may need a lot when, you know, if we get another huge influx of secondary students, which is one of the things that saved our bacon, because we had money in the reserves to make up a deficit.
I know that, you know, we've seen some pretty big increases in property tax values, and people are pretty anxious about that. So, you know, just wanting to make sure folks are clear that this can't, you know, we buy it down once, you know, and.
Well, I think we always explain at the annual meeting that, because people have asked, why don't we just take it all in 1 year?
Right.
And there's a diminishing return, because once you get to a certain level, you're going to pay a minimum tax anyways, and you can't ever go below that. So that's why it's nice having Lori to be able to work numbers with us. Good. Everybody okay? So let's, Lori, the financials, did everybody have a chance to look at these, and we can sign them and give them to Lori when she leaves? Would somebody like to make a motion to
I do have
approve?
one more question for Lori on the financials.
Okay.
So on, I see we have a pre-buy for oil in here. And can you remind me how that, well, you can't remind me.
I can tell you how it works.
I'm sure you can.
So the pre-buy for oil, we've always done
Like,
it.
how do you calculate the pre-buy price?
We've always done it with the town of Dover.
How does the
Hang on
price
a
get?
second. And then the town of Dover puts it out to bid, and they request bids from a bunch of different suppliers. This year there was 5. They had somebody who was a little cheaper than Nido's, but Nido's also services our burners for us. So when we have a problem in the middle of the night or on a weekend, we don't have to try to find somebody to come out. So the town actually awards a bid. We kind of look at how much oil we've used in the past, and we use that to judge how much we pre-buy.
Okay. And given how dramatically the prices have been kind of fluctuating, we're locked in on that price.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Great.
Yeah, and again, you could gamble, if it was our money, your own money, you can gamble, but we've always, forever, have always said that we can't gamble with the taxpayers.
Yeah, no, I totally support the pre-buy. I just want to make sure we have a sense of how that.
Now, actually, sometimes Wyndham Central's a little less, but then if we go to a different supplier, we don't get the service, because a lot of the suppliers, especially Dwight will tell you with the gas suppliers, if you buy your gas through this company, no other company will touch your furnace.
Right.
And then it creates issues if that company doesn't show up and you have no heat.
So it's probably good to budget by too, I'm sure, knowing what, knowing what it's gonna be, right?
Yeah, and Wardsboro now is part of that also, the
Of
pre-buy.
the Dover one.
The Dover one, right?
It's propane.
No, it's oil.
This is oil?
Yeah, no, the pre-buy is the Nidos for oil.
Significantly less than Wardsboro, which, I mean, it's a much smaller building. So it's-
Yeah, well, the
seems-
amount of the dollars, but the oil usage is less too.
That's, well,
Yeah.
yes.
I hope so.
There's a correlation.
Well, no, I
It
mean,
just surprised me, like.
there
how
are
much
some,
less.
there are some buildings that are small that we use more because they're not very energy efficient.
Yeah.
The buildings are poor, so.
How much?
No, you make a motion to
Yeah.
approve the
Yes, and it
payment.
will be better.
Right now?
That's right.
Hey, what's the amount?
I made,
It's right at the bottom.
where?
No, the amount should be right here. So you want to make a motion to approve the pay warrants in the amount of
Jesus.
751, no, 75,120,000. Sorry, $75,120.07.
Can I just second that?
No, you made the motion. I don't make the motion.
I make a motion to approve the budget.
No, to approve the pay
To
warrants
approve the pay warrants
in the amount.
in the amount of $75,120.07.
Second.
Okay, Mike made the motion, Laura seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. Yeah, you'll have to sign that too. That's what we've got to sign. Okay, so the motion carries. And then Lori, if we do the pole easement, will you be able to, will you take that back with you?
I can take that back with me. I'm gonna probably stay through food service at
Oh.
least two.
Well, why don't you go to do food service?
Well, does Tracy, you want to give a little background on that first, and then I'll jump in?
I know we're bouncing around a little bit.
Up to you. I can,
Yeah. So we are down one of our head chef in our food service department, and we are seeking a long-term sub so that my custodial staff can stay within their 40 hours a week and maintain that and do the things that they need to around the building. So that, I mean, is that what you meant, Lori?
yeah, exactly. Basically, we need to do some succession planning. Am I saying that right? Succession planning. And also free up the maintenance staff. They're spending about $11,000 per year on a normal basis in overtime, because not necessarily because of food service, it might also have to do with transportation, but it would be good to be able to reduce their hours at the same time having an assistant chef to sort of bridge that gap and provide some long-term stability. So it would be a new position, and that's why we're bringing it before the board. It is not a budgeted position.
So, go ahead.
So are there additional revenues that are available? Do you know, based on the universal meals, is it gonna be, do we have less money available to us or more money available to us?
It's an expense. It's a total expense. The only offset would be the overtime, potential overtime of the maintenance staff who are also not really fully trained in the food service. So it would definitely be an expense. There is a fund balance in the food service, which of course would only cover 1 year, but it would probably get us through this fiscal year 24, and then we can put it in the budget for fiscal year 25 going forward. I think it was around 30,000 was the
Yes,
fund balance, so
37,
between that and the offset of the overtime, I think we'd be able to cover a full-time assistant chef.
And they also prepare foods for Wardsboro,
Correct.
so.
Correct. There is a part-time person right now that does some packaging and delivering, but is not interested in the assistant food chef. And there is going to be a gap, right, Tracy, Ann, between the current food chef being able to start back, and so there needs to be somebody to do this as well.
Here's a idea, question, thought, just to throw out, which may be more complicated than we need given all the moving parts that we have right now, but have we ever thought about one of the local restaurants? Contracting with one of them, because it's not year round, but it's definitely, I mean, we might approach them.
Yeah, so that's actually a great
Correct.
idea. Wait, you said the part-time job or just a temporary position?
Oh, I know.
It's what Tracy said is correct. We're building it as a long-term sub, but really when you look at, the future, it's probably needs to be a full-time position, a permanent full-time position at this point.
Okay.
But could it be contract?
So River Valleys could choose, I don't know that you could do it at this late date because we really need to, the food service application is a tremendous amount of work. I think, did Greg want to jump in on that too?
Well, why don't you guys finish up and then we'll get to Greg.
Okay, all right. So I'm saying that I don't believe that we could do it at this point right now.
It's very.
If River Valleys wanted to look at hiring a food service company or potentially a local restaurant, I mean, there's just so many hoops to jump through. It's very difficult, but it could be something in the future.
I thought West River had a food service company.
Not any longer. They have their
They
own
did.
in-house. They went from Abbey Group to doing it all in-house.
So
And
that would be an indication that probably,
the
Well,
food
Abbey
quality
Group's-
went up tremendous.
Abbey Group is out of the region also, so if we looked, I mean,
right, but what I'm saying is if West River already had been on that path and it was a good path, then when the Abbey Group left, they may have looked to go with another company and they chose to do something in-house.
Right.
So it's not a conversation, I think, we can't do it now anyways, so I think it's a good budgeting conversation. So Lori, can you just, at budget time and I guess Tracy, it falls a little more on you, but it would be both our administrators. Can you just make a note of that we want to have that discussion at budget time? And I kind of see where Laura's going to, we do have a lot of restaurants in the area that could maybe help us out. So let's,
sustainability, so I was cognizant of Lori using the word, we have to think about succession planning.
Right.
And so they could potentially, maybe it won't work, but it might be something to look at for sustainability.
Greg, did you want to talk on this topic?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think there's a couple things to note real quick. One, I think one of the keys, the real benefits of bringing someone in is it gives you the ability to have a trained person also being the other person that's helping out in the kitchen rather than your custodial bus drivers. So, it gives you an added, incentive there. We're currently running a Titan program for menu planning and whatnot, and having another person in there to help with some of that could even lighten some of the load right now that all goes on to Lori O'Hearn as far as a lot of the data input on that. So there's the opportunity too of like some of that going back into the food service program. So I think that there's a couple of other things there that I think would make sense. And just to touch on the point of using a local restaurant, we ran the numbers on that for Wyndham last year because they had so few kids. When you're talking $3.75 for breakfast and $5.25 reimbursement for a lunch, and you start talking about a restaurant having to transport that to you and packaging and whatnot, it's a pretty slim margin there to make money. They could not find a way that we were able to deliver meals from Leland and Gray at I think it was close to like $20,000 a year on just 18 kids savings. It was a lot. So.
But it's still a good discussion we can have at budget time, Greg, so we'll stick you on it. We'll take it away from Lori and make you do it.
Thank you, Rich.
Yeah, you're welcome. Lori went, I don't know if you got to see her, but she was excited. She gave a fist bump.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so why don't we do this, folks? I mean, I think, you'll present us with a contract if something comes up. The administrators have the ability to spend money, and I don't think, does anybody have a problem with that? Because we don't know exactly what we need yet, so why don't we move forward? I'm sorry, Tracy, and work with getting somebody in there, and then just, let us know how it's working out. Everybody okay? Okay, so that's food service. Lori, we can't do the GMP Pole thing, and I'll tell you why, because it needs to be notarized.
We have a notary in our office.
I know, but I have to sign it in front of a notary.
Well, can we authorize you to sign it?
Yeah, well, that's what we're gonna do, but I was gonna have Lori take it, so I'll take care of getting it notarized tomorrow, and then I'll get it over, okay? So Lori, do you have anything else that you need to be here for? Not that I'm kicking you out, but I'm gonna tell you that you can leave if you want.
I don't know. We're all good on the feed system. Greg, you got that
Sure.
one? Okay. Let me take it all. All right. No, I'm all set then.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the good news. Hopefully Greg can give us as good news as you gave us.
He sent it.
He's the savior.
Oh. Hey, Greg, so you, on the GMP Pole easement, I know you talked with Dwight, and I think you'd actually talked to him before you left.
Oh, I didn't get nothing.
This was sent to you, I thought.
No, I read it.
Oh, well, I thought you said that you had no issue with where the poles were gonna be placed. No?
Did I email it?
Yeah.
Okay, I did. I don't have an issue, but that's good.
So, Greg, why don't you talk about the pole placement first? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So, Kate and I were emailing back and forth today about this. So the poll in question is actually, if you look on the pictures that were on the original email that was sent to you all, it's number 135. So they note 136 and 134, which are on the your neighbor's property. So Kate, you were referencing the neighbor down below. So this one will be like, if you were sitting at home plate, it would be in very deep right center field. It's 33 feet from the center of the road, which you figure, I haven't had a chance to measure it, but I figure you got at least 15 of that is still the road. And so you're maybe, 18 feet onto your property, which I would think, even if you had a soccer goal, that you aren't running it that close to Route 100. So I don't think, as far as you all go, it's really an issue. But of course, we need you all to sign off on a document like that. That's not my place. Go ahead, Kate.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, can you give her permission? Thank you, Lori. Don't trip.
Thanks, Lori.
I'd say that. Sure. You're right. She looks bad, can't you?
It's still telling me that that is disabled.
I think you have to click on her. Click on her, yeah, that's it.
Get on. See it?
You want to make me co-host for a little
Gotta
bit?
be your co-host.
Yes.
I thought, like, when I do a Zoom meeting, we can make it so anybody can share screen.
Okay.
Share screen icon on the bottom.
Okay. So I'm sharing. Can you guys see the photo?
Yeah.
There's no cars.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. So Greg, right here we have the baseball diamond, as we can see. This is the hill, and then the soccer field. When they practice, they do put goals right here, and like right here as well.
Yep.
So
yeah. So see 135 right where your mouse is.
Oh,
That's
so the
one
pole would
they're
be right
referencing.
here.
Is right about there. Yep. So
Okay.
like I said, it's so if you look at here, WL 135 is 33 CL, which is from the center line. So that's where it is. I'd be surprised if that was an issue for you all. I mean, if you have concerns, we can go back to them and say, we could go back to them, right? I mean, your neighbors at 136, they're doing theirs only 24 feet off the center line. So we could go back to them and say, hey, we'd like to request it to be 24 if you want, if you're more comfortable with that.
So Greg, would it be possible to have them put a stake in the ground for us? And then we can ask the principal to look at it with their staff because they're gonna be here. And, you know, that's, is everybody okay if we just do that? Yeah.
Is there a fence there? Where's the fence?
The fence is right along here, I believe, right? Like,
Yeah, she'd like to be obviously on the road side of the fence.
I just worry about sledding. You know, like, you never know how far they go, so.
It's sledding wise, really, that's also.
Well, hey, folks, well, hold on. Laura is recognized.
So I'm fine with the, stake and having the principal, but may I just recant, I'm going to. So, with my legislative hat on, and as a resident in Eastover, I can tell you in Eastover, we have suffered like Wardsboro has suffered, and parts of Townsend have suffered, and parts of Jamaica have suffered for years. And I, this year, learned about one of the reasons that we have suffered is for 5 years, rebuilding these lines has been, GMP's been trying to do this and get an Act 250 permit, and there's folks that have denied permission. They couldn't rebuild any of it, so we get a temporary exemption this year. So I think great to look at this and but I would just ask us to act with some urgency. We had multiple 4-day outages in Eastover. I have, wood stove and propane for cooking. My neighbors do not. So we need to get these lines rebuilt.
Well, I think it'll be as long as it takes them to get it staked out and see where it is.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I mean, they can work with us a little bit because if you look at where the other poles are, there's nothing, this could be the middle of a play field, and I just want to make sure it isn't.
And I'm fine with that. I'm just asking us to have that sense of urgency about, we've got a lot of people who've been, in jeopardy.
Yeah, so you hang on for a second. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, Kate, so looking at, I see where the numbers are, 135 and 136, but is the blue line that is that dot, you're like, is that the pole for 136? And then if you kind of go to the top of your screen, the picture, there's another blue dot. Is that the pole placement and just the reference number? Because if so, then that looks like it's definitely outside of our fence line.
Right.
Again, I think the idea to get it staked just so we have an absolute, physical reference rather than just a pictorial one. But seeing that if that is indeed where the pole is going to be placed, then we are in pretty good shape for the athletics that we do host and the recreational activities as well.
So if you don't mind for a second, what my suggestion was going to be was for the board to request through Greg that GMP place the stake, and that if it's outside the fence line or if it's outside of the ball field and the concern of the principal, that we make a motion that allows me to sign that when it's staked and we get to go ahead from your principal. And we can even make one of your Wardsboro members, go check it too. If the two of you say it's fine, then, and I think that would take care of it, because I know Laura doesn't want to wait till the 18th of September because then we're in the snow flying.
Right.
So would everybody be okay with that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Kate?
Yeah.
Greg, is that something you can do for us?
Perfectly fine. I'm emailing the gentleman right now.
Okay, so why doesn't somebody make that motion?
So moved.
Okay, so you're,
I move
Meredith.
that we authorize the chair to sign the agreement pending review by the principal and other board members.
After the poll is staked.
After the poll is staked.
If it's outside of the play area.
Yeah.
Okay, hey Meredith, can you read that back quick?
It's kind of hard to hear because of the echo. Can you repeat that again, please?
So I move that we authorize the chair to sign the easement agreement pending review of the staked pole position by GMP, reviewed by our principal and board members.
I got to state pole position and then it got hard to hear again.
Can you read what you have?
I said, Laura authorizes the chair to sign the easement agreement pending review of the state pole position.
It's staked with a K, staked. Yep, pole position by the principal and Wardsboro board members.
In Wardsboro.
One Wardsboro board member.
Got it.
And that's the motion she made too, Meredith.
Right.
Okay, do I have a second to Laura's motion?
I'll second.
Okay, Chad seconded the motion. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So let me just harp and say that if there's a problem, I would not want to jam it in, but I would rather meet again. I would rather have I feel like it's so important to move on this. I'd like to have a special meeting. So if there's a problem, I'd like us to come back and try and rectify it before September.
Well, let's hope there's no problem.
I agree, Laura. This has been very important. I mean, we've had some serious power outages in the last couple of years for extended periods of time. The opportunity to upgrade our power line going through the town is something we can't let pass by. So I absolutely agree. We need to move with urgency on this.
Okay, is everybody good? Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is, yay! Okay, thank you, Kate, for helping us with that. Greg?
Yes, sir.
So,
Yeah, sorry.
no problem. Hey, so as soon as that gets staked, or when they tell you he's gonna stake it, can you just send an email to the board?
Absolutely.
And then
Yep,
you-
I just emailed him asking him to, to meet me there as soon as possible to put a stake in the ground so that we can visually see it and that we're just concerned about ensuring that we protect the youth sports field.
Yeah, perfect. And actually, if he was to say that it's gonna be outside the fence, between the road and the fence, I mean, that would really settle it for us, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Greg, what else did you have, sir?
I'm trying to remember here. What else did we have? Donna, what did you have?
Key system, new key system for Dover.
Oh, key system for Dover. So Dover's badge system is basically outdated. You can't repair it and replace it. And so they had IT had looked into replacing their badge system. Basically, you can reuse all the wiring. You just got to put in like a new main system. It's like $4,300. They didn't budget for it. And they just want to do it. It will give them the same system that everybody else is running. So right now, all the West River schools and Wardsboro are all on the same badge system. So this would then jump them over to that matching badge system. So then it puts everybody on the same system. And we just wanted the approval to kind of overspend maintenance a little bit to cover that.
Well, you don't have to overspend maintenance. Maybe there's something that you budgeted for that you don't need. So again, we give the administrators and everybody at central office a budget, and we expect you guys to try to hold to it as much as you can. And, if you have it to go over for a reason, it's a good reason, you tell us that, but, try to live within your budget. That's why we set a budget. So I would say, move forward if that's something you need. We don't expect that you're gonna predict every expense you're gonna have, in December of this year, that's gonna have to take you into July of 2 years down the road,
Absolutely. I just think that we always, I know for me, I always want to act with the most transparency possible and be able to stand before you all and say, this is what we did. This is why we did it. We are doing the best we can to live within our budgets. And there are things that are outside of that sometimes, but we still want to,
So
yeah,
Greg, if a new bus showed up that we didn't talk about, that would be something that would probably get you in a little trouble. But I think, an expense like that, which is probably not even 1% of the budget or 0.5%. Does anybody have a problem with him just going ahead and do that? Laura, you got a problem?
No, well, I don't, but I also don't, I'd like to give him some certainty. Like, is there a dollar, do we have a policy on the dollar amount?
No.
Well, maybe we should, so that then he doesn't have to worry about where's the
You
money.
know when you see it.
Yeah. So I think, Greg, unless anybody has a real problem, I think, yeah, go ahead, you and Tracy can move that forward. And then, as we get more into the budget, if there's something that you budgeted for that you could put off or not have to take, or maybe this will save you some money on repairs, then, we're even in better shape. Just remember, I'd love to see a $500,000 surplus next year.
I will not be able to help with that, I'm sorry.
Okay. So.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix things up, man.
You're doing a good job. You got anything else for us?
No, just I hope you guys enjoyed checking out the windows that were delivered today and the crew got started. I met with them and Donna this morning. Super exciting. Next week, we start removing the gym floor over at Dover. And at the middle of next month, we'll be working with Plimpton's to remove the playground over at Wardsboro and get that prepped for the new one to go in at the end of the month. And then we've got all new mulch going in. It's all scheduled like early, mid October. So trying to keep it as tight as I can so that playground's down for as short of a period of time as possible. So.
Hey, I can tell you, it was very nice walking by the windows and seeing that people actually know how to install windows properly. And they didn't tape over the bottom flange, and they actually taped stuff, and it was really neat to see.
It is.
Yeah.
No, so many people tape the bottom flange and it holds moisture.
Exactly.
You know from your SPS training.
This is the thing that Rich and I get excited about.
Oh, Laura, you get excited about
was these guys, it's all they do. This crew of guys, all they do is set windows in. And
Yeah.
so, when you talk to guys like that, like you guys say, right, guys that know what they're talking about. And when I met with these guys, I was like, this is the kind of crew that we want doing this job. These guys know what they're doing. And so it's exciting.
You did mention that, Greg, at the time, so I'm glad that it came to it's meeting your expectations. It's great.
Meredith, did you have something for us?
Yes, I was just wondering if Greg had an update on the PCB testing.
The what?
PCB.
Oh,
That's okay. Sorry, I just took a bite of something. We have not gotten results back yet. We are going into a second round of testing at Marlboro tomorrow. Leland and Greg, we just barely got theirs back. They had some in their water room, which I think is their water tanks. And that's it. I'm hoping to hear something on yours in the next week or two.
Thank you.
hey, Greg, on that, if the tests aren't good, why don't you let us know right away, because we may want to have a special meeting for that, not to let it linger.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to get a letter out to families within 10 days of receiving results if it's positive. So,
Well, I'd like to have a board meeting before we send the letter out to parents, so yeah, let us know.
I will have it to you as soon as I get it.
Okay, thank you. Meredith, thank you for that. That was a good catch. Greg, are you all good, sir?
I think I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good evening.
You too. Everybody's good with Greg, right? Okay. I'm going to go to principals reports. So I know that you both sent us a nice little written report, Dover School and Wardsboro School, following the old outline that we've been familiar with. So other than what's in the principals reports, I'm sorry, with regards to what's in the principal's reports, does anybody have any question on anything in the principal's reports? Yes, Laura.
Well, it's actually not in there. I'm
Okay,
looking for-
so hang on a second.
Okay.
So we've got a written report from both principals. Is there anything in those reports we need one of the administrators to expand on? Or was it pretty well written and we all understand it? Okay. Other than what's in the written report, I'm going to start with you. Do you have anything else to add that came in after you wrote your report? You don't have to, I just give you guys a chance.
No, it's okay. I want to look at the camera, I guess, not my computer. So, but it's hard because I'm looking at you too. Is this okay that I'm talking this way? Okay. Well, I just want to thank this SU tremendously. Bob has been more than supportive to a new administrator coming in and his team, his leadership team. We had a really nice time. I did talk about the time we went to our leadership retreat and learned a lot and developed a lot of good relationships that are soaring and will continue to soar. And I hope that's going to be the lens that I continue here at Wardsboro, is developing relationships and connecting with people. And I had, an unfortunate opportunity to do that during the flood, but it felt good. And so I was really, I think being new in this district, I really appreciated that time. And I just wanted to bring you that piece. And I don't know if you have any questions from the report or follow-up. I am always looking for feedback. So let me know if I didn't put something in. This is the first time for me having this to do. And I really appreciate it because it really speaks to our educators' quality standards and having that accountability. Like, let me share what we're doing at this school. So thank you for having this format.
Well, this was from our previous superintendent. And the reason we do this is a lot of times this will answer a lot of questions, and then it's also something that people can see, parents, and it goes with the packets, and that's why we do that. We don't need you to, we don't ask you to repeat it because you already wrote it. So we always just give you a chance at the end if there's any other things that maybe happened after you wrote this. Okay.
Well, one highlight thing I will say is the listening tours that have been happening with the staff. I just said a informal meet and greet. You don't have to come in, it's your summer, it's vacation. I understand we can meet when school starts. I've had more than 80% of them come in. We have lunch, and I kind of hear about the ins and outs of Wardsboro Elementary, their traditions. Love the Panther mascot I heard about, and how that has become a fun thing here at the school. So those have been going very well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tracy, how about you? Anything in addition to what you wrote?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, hang on a second now because we're going to open it up. I know Laura's got something.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about enrollment and what it's looking like as compared with how we ended the year. If we're looking up, if we're looking down.
From the projected numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tracy, do you have your enrollment?
I do, but I need to find it. I mean, I think I know, but let me get my exact.
Do you know?
I have it in the office.
Okay. Just give us
I'm going to guesstimate.
Yeah.
Approximately 45 students.
And what were you projecting? What were we projecting in the building for this year?
I think 45.
So you're right on where you thought. You didn't
There
lose
might have
it.
been, I haven't heard of somebody leaving yet.
Okay.
Or coming in.
Or we have pre-K coming in, of course, the freeze, but
No new families.
we have a new family. Yes, there's a new family.
Tracy, you don't have to look up exact, just tell us what you can.
I found it. We have 87 students enrolled, and I do believe that is 2 new families in the past couple of weeks.
Are you all set? Thank you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you. It's nice to have you both here tonight. It's exciting to get off to the start of the school year. I was wondering if there's a way, we all know you and people who are following these meetings are all aware of the new changes, but I'm wondering if we should present something to the greater community, either in some kind of press release or something for the...
Well, I think they did.
Did they have already?
Yeah,
Okay.
when they both got hired, they both sent something out to the
Okay.
family.
I didn't see anything. But...
And there was,
Yeah, also, Tracy had an article in the
Deerfield Valley
News.
News.
Deerfield
All
Valley,
right.
Yes,
And yours is
and
coming
mine's
up.
coming up soon too. So
Well, that's great. I do read the paper, but I didn't see it.
Tracy was on the cover. She was all smiles
cover.
on the sign. Weren't you on the cover?
During my vacation. Sorry.
Hey, charge him for an autograph.
Yeah, I'll bring it in next time, okay? Thank you, that's great.
Chad, you all set?
I'm okay, yeah.
You all set? Good. Kate, you all set? Okay, so that was pretty easy on the principal's report. So don't forget, Bob threw the challenge out, so you guys gonna commit to 10 years and we'll see who outlasts who. So I'm looking forward to it. Kate, I'm gonna go to you for 2 policies, please.
Okay, let me just grab my notes real quick. So we have 2 policies. The first one is F3, and that is the fire and emergency preparedness drills that Mike Urquhart and I went over during the policy committee meeting back in June. And then we brought it to the last board meeting and we asked the board to warn it, which the board did. So now that I would like to make a motion to ask the board to adopt policy F3.
No, Susan's down here.
No, she's not down here.
You want to second it? Okay, so Kate moved to adopt F3 as posted, and Mike seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. Congratulations, administrators. You got your first new policy to make sure that gets out.
Right.
Yay, all these milestones tonight. Okay, Kate, go ahead.
And then with policy F4, we had also warned that at the last meeting, but I would like to bring it back to the board. I had a further discussion with the new incoming superintendent, and he had a change that he had proposed, and it was a very thoughtful one, and I would like to move forward with his proposed change. In that policy, there's an optional section that he suggested removing. If it's easier for people, if folks are visual, I can share my screen and show you that policy.
So this didn't go to the policy committee. This change was just something that you felt was very appropriate to bring up at this time.
Yeah. So the change is just removing this section right here, that the district recognizes to leave blank structure unlocked as needed for blank purpose, blah, blah, blah. And so Bob essentially was saying that he did not feel that there was any structures that we needed to leave unlocked. And so we can remove this section at this time. So that was the only change that that Bob had suggested, which warranted further review and sharing. So we would like to make that change where we remove that section and then post the policy, warn the policy and bring it forward to a future meeting for adoption. Okay,
because the one we have still has that in there. So the motion's going to be to remove that from the policy that was presented.
Yes.
Okay.
So we will remove that optional section A under the second paragraph for administrative responsibilities.
Okay, so you want to make that motion?
Question.
Well, let's make the motion, then we can have discussion.
Okay.
You want to make that motion?
Yes, I would like to make the motion for policy F4 that we remove the under the administrative responsibilities that we remove under number 2 that we remove the optional section and then post the policy for warning.
Okay, can I have a second to that, please?
Second.
Laura seconds the motion that Kate made. Go ahead for discussion.
So my question is, having warned this with the optional section left blank, we are opting not to utilize that section. Do we need to rewarn it? Or
We are.
Kate, is Bob just looking for some clarity so that no one's confused about the potential?
You know, we maybe could go forward with not warning it, but to make sure that we're following making sure that we're following the procedure of the policies, I think we're better off you being really clear that we're taking that section out and that we're rewarning it and moving forward with the change.
But that wasn't your question, really, was it? Because your question was, did Bob want us to, because it was blank, to take it out? Or
Well, no, by leaving it blank, we are essentially disregarding the option that we have. So essentially, by rewarning it with the section removed entirely, we're just tidying it up a bit for the viewer for the
Okay,
reader.
no,
But
so, this is a pretty major change. So if we made, like, if there was a typo, or there, you know, we spelled something wrong, we, put in, I don't know, the wrong school, but this is, we're taking a whole section out, so then it really should be rewarned and reposted, so people have the ability to review it and bring back.
Right, what I'm saying, effectively by having it blank when it was warned, and that we are not utilizing the optional clause, that by removing it, I mean, we're really in the same place, we're just making it a neater looking policy to go with it.
We're not making it a neater looking policy, though, we're also, we have to, because it's a major change, that's why we gotta rewarn it.
Right, that's what I'm saying, there's not a change being made.
There really is, because we're taking a whole section out. Even though there was nothing there, there could have been put something in there, so it was suggested that we do it.
Right, no, I understand, like, I mean, because it's something, for example, would be, you know, we're gonna leave the playground fence unlocked so that the community can enjoy the playground. But we don't have that language. I mean, if it needs to go, it's a matter of, you know, basically a month until we come back and we adopt the policy. I'm not so concerned either way, but just looking at timeline.
Chad, to address that, we can move forward with, we would ask that the principals start the year with the policy in mind, knowing that it is forthcoming, so that the principals are mindful that this new policy F4 is forthcoming, even though we haven't officially adopted it yet, that, you know, to kind of live under, like live like it's going to be happening. So just start practicing.
Sure.
Well, and also on that, I just want to say, I think Tracy, and I know it's new for you, but this is pretty much what we've been doing anyways, at least I know at Dover and I believe at Wardsboro. It's not a huge change, it's just the legislature, you know, said, oh, you know, not everybody's doing this, so let's make it. And then as a result of that, we got this. So I don't think it's a big change for either building. I mean, I don't think the parents are going to see anything different, faculty or the administration. If I'm wrong, let me know. No?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So is it, just so I'm clear, are we rewarning it with this part blacked out or are we warning it without it altogether?
No, it's going to be gone.
It's going to be gone, so we're rewarning without that.
Correct.
Okay.
It's going to have number 2, all schools.
So we're not revising it, rewarning.
Here we are.
We are revising it.
Right, because we're going to take the A is going to be gone. So your new one, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm just wondering for clarity, could you just, you know, lock it out?
It was recommended that we just,
Do
you know,
that,
it go
okay.
away.
I'm just curious.
So whether it's blacked out or gone,
Well, it just makes it more- yeah.
it still needs to be rewarned.
No, I understand that. I'm just wondering how it's going to look when we rewarn it.
Kate will make it look pretty, right, Kate?
Okay.
Would you like to see the exact change that I just made?
There
I
it is.
took out this blue section right here, and the update has that gone. That is the exact change, and that's what I will send out and ask people to post and warn.
And that was your motion.
That is my motion. Yep.
Laura second.
Okay, gotcha.
Or was it your second?
Nope, Laura second.
Okay.
All right.
Any other discussion? You all set, Mike?
Good.
Kate, you all good?
That was thorough.
You were thorough?
That was thorough.
Okay, well, it is security. It is, I mean, it's a big change from 10 to 15 years ago. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify so by saying aye.
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 It appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is. Thank you, folks. 2 policies, 1 adopted, 1 warned. And then I think the next thing under new business was we had a proposed next meeting. So because the administrators are going to be having their staff coming into the buildings, new staff and then the returning staff, and then you have the beginning of school and you've got trying to get kids all settled down and you give them a couple days off or a long weekend. We usually skip the 2nd August meeting and the 1st September meeting because, you know, the 1st September meeting is a holiday anyways, and then it's kind of new. So unless something comes up with any of those topics that we talked about, the pole placement or something important, I'd like to recommend that we meet on September 18th, and that will be in Dover. And then we'll have starting in October, we'll have a lot of meetings, like Laura said, budgets are coming up and snow's coming and all that other good stuff. So is everybody okay with that? I know the administrators aren't, but.
Aren't?
No, they want to meet every week.
Yeah, I love it.
They love coming to see us. Plus, I wanted cookies every week.
Well, that's true. We love cookies.
Go ahead, Laura.
I apologize, I missed the last meeting. Bus routes?
Yeah, they present them to us, just do them. Same as last year? Okay.
And we don't have to take any action on
I don't think, I thought this got taken out.
that? Okay.
Well, you want to approve the routes? Tracy, are the routes any different in Dover? We shouldn't have let Greg go.
Sorry.
I don't know either.
Okay, well, it's actually.
This is being posted tomorrow.
Right, the routes are supposed to be posted 30 days before the start of school, so obviously we're not gonna make that.
I do remember an issue coming in once, Laura, right, that we were.
No, yeah, the law used to say the board had to approve.
Oh, okay.
But I thought it changed.
I feel like it might have changed also, just with our new administrators, I want to make sure that we do have their backs when necessary.
Do you know,
There's no
are
changes.
there any changes in Wardsboro that you're aware of, or you don't know?
Well, there weren't any approved by the transportation
No,
committee.
it's,
Right.
I mean, it's fine to come back.
Tracy, just, if there's anything that's changed, can you just, guys, let us know? I'm sorry, I say guys, I mean, can the administrators let us know, if there's any changes?
Well, there is on their policies and procedures of bus expectations.
No, but is there any changes in the routes?
Not that I
Like,
know.
if we used to always go out to Sheldon Hill Road and we turn around there and we're still doing that, but if you decide to only go as far as the village, that would be a
I can
change.
check and find out about that.
And
Okay,
there's a
Tracy?
transportation committee too.
Well, the committee hasn't made any changes.
Right, no.
I mean, my inkling is that they're the same. I'm sure Lori would have told me if something was different.
Okay,
Yes.
Well, I will check.
So
Would
we'll-
you like me to get back to you about it?
just send it to me, yeah. Okay, so thank you, Laura. Anything else? We're talking about the next meeting. Are we still good for September 18th? Are you folks good?
Are we leaving Miss Tracy hanging with Chef Bobby?
No, she can do whatever she needs to do. We don't approve hiring.
Okay.
She would hire somebody, or Greg and her, or the actually, I guess the superintendent actually hires, right? Yeah, so, because we're gonna get to that in a minute.
Here we go.
Okay, not the chef, but another contractor. So is everybody good? Cool. September 18th, 2023, can you just, one of you all send that to Bob and just let him know that we'll be in Dover at 6 o'clock? 6 o'clock still works good for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. New business. Kate, you got anything new?
Nothing new.
Mike?
Nope.
Dwight?
Oh, good.
Chad?
All set?
Laura? Okay, so, we have June 15th is, the minutes of the June 15th Policy Committee, which actually, Kate, your Policy Committee is supposed to approve those because we weren't there, so you should just approve them at your next meeting. Make Mike make the motion. But we do have the June 16th, 2023 meeting. And if nobody has any issues, we'll accept it by consent. Okay. Correspondence, I know there was some correspondence to Bob, and he brought them up, I think, and Tracy mentioned some correspondence from parents in regards to the combined class, but I don't believe there was any other correspondence I was given, so I think we're all set unless, Tracy, you had nothing else for correspondence? Okay, so we're gonna need to move into executive session for contractual, but before we do that, we do have one contract. There was a change, and I believe this was discussed at a meeting, a couple meetings ago. So in Dover, if you remember, we were doing a split kindergarten, not an exact split, but we had a senior teacher working with a new teacher in kindergarten, and the new teacher was doing really well, and I believe in discussion, and Tracy, you were involved in this right before, and so what happened was the new teacher is going to be full-time doing just the kindergarten, and the part-time senior teacher is going to become a SEL support teacher, which is kind of like we had years and years and years ago as a, go ahead, you want to just tell us what SEL? Yeah.
Social emotional learning, yes. So basically what this teacher is going to be doing is working primarily with our primary unit with kiddos who may have some sort of social emotional dysregulation, but are needing some extended learning, basically gifted and talented, because our AST takes care of the remediation.
And this was, I believe we discussed this, because this is, you're using some of your ESSER money to,
Yes.
so there's no, even though it's not something we plan on doing, it's not gonna cost us any more money. So I would just need a motion to sign a contract for Nancy Baker as a .4 SEL support teacher.
So moved.
Okay, Lauren moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
8 seconds.
Chad beat you to it, Kate, sorry. Meredith, did you get that okay? I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to check with you.
I didn't hear the motion.
Okay, so the motion was to approve a .4 contract for Nancy Baker as an SEL support teacher for the Dover building.
Thank you.
And we had a second from Chad. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Sometimes we'll take that with me. We sign that other thing.
How long has Nancy been with us?
Nancy has been here so long she doesn't pay Social Security.
Yeah, I accept.
Nancy was in school, in the Dover school, when my wife was there.
I'm ecstatic that we still get it.
And we've been very fortunate. I mean, some of the longevity of some of our staff. And I just want to say something about Nancy. She had been the health and phys ed teacher for a long time, and she had the states of fitness. And she used to, every state had a fitness thing you had to do. Like maybe Maine was you had to hike through sand or up a mountain, and Vermont may have been you hiked the long trail. And if you got all 50 states, you got this trophy that was like 8 feet tall. And the story she would tell about some students just before 6th grade graduation, dragging their parents out in the, at 4 o'clock in the morning because they had to go hike 2 miles or something, before daybreak, whatever. And she then thought she really wanted to do preschool. And I got to tell you, I've interviewed a lot of teachers when the boards used to hire teachers. And it was really interesting because you can always tell a new teacher because they come in all excited. And then when you get kind of senior teachers that are getting towards the end of their career, there's not that kind of excitement. And Nancy came in and she couldn't wait to do preschool. And it was like we were interviewing a brand new teacher, not somebody that had 30 some odd years experience. And Nancy is, I don't know where she gets her energy from, but she is she is a blessing to our district. So hopefully that we'll be able to tell Nancy that we support her. So the last thing I have is we need to go into executive session for a contractual issue. So if somebody would like to make the motion on the,
I move we go into executive session for a contractual issue.
you gotta read the thing.
That's it.
It's not I that made the rule.
I make a motion for the board to enter executive session.
No, I moved to find
that
a
premature
premature.
general public knowledge regarding contract negotiation will put the board at substantial disadvantage because the school board is at risk of negotiation disadvantage if discussed in public.
Do I have a second to that?
Second.
8 seconds.
Dwight, these guys on my left are beating me all the time, Kate.
It's delays. That
It's your internet.
Internet Wi-Fi.
It's not mine, it's Wardsboro's. So, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 And go ahead, Lauren.
I don't think it should be plural. I think it should be school board is, not school board.
Go ahead.
is.
Just make a motion.
Yes, school board
Two
is.
boards is.
I make a motion for the board to enter executive session under Title I.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think
Under Title I, Section 313 of the Vermont Statutes Legal Consultation 313A1.
Kate?
Yes, we need a second.
I would love to second that motion.
Okay, we're gonna give it to you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, so by unanimous consent, we come out of executive session at 7:56. Oh, sorry, hang on.
It's not going. Okay.
You okay? Okay, so at 7:56, we're out of executive session by unanimous consent.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept the salary disbursement WCEA side letter, which reads, the undersigned agree that until the new collective bargaining agreement is ratified by both parties, the River Valley Unified School District Board will authorize the WCSU payroll office to offer two options for salary disbursement per the pending agreement, offering 22 pays or 21 pays plus a balloon payment effective immediately, rather than waiting for the dual ratification. If the contract is not ratified by the union, then this agreement becomes null and void.
So do we have a second to that?
Second.
And authorize the chair to sign.
And authorize the chair to sign said agreement.
Got that.
Second.
I did not get that.
No, I'm gonna email this to you. I'm gonna scan it and email it to you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, oh, Meredith is
I'm
back.
sorry, I just put them in.
Oh, no, they can come in.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm sorry, we should have waited till they were in. I thought Meredith may take us up on not having to come in. So we have a motion and a second. Meredith, we came out of executive session at 7:56 by unanimous consent. I will send you a copy of the written motion. I will scan it and tomorrow morning, send you the motion.
She may have left, but.
Oh. Meredith, are you still there? Okay, well, I'll send it to her, and then Kate, you can just, I'll send this to you, and you can send her a little packet with the times and stuff. Okay, so we have a motion made by Chad, and a second by Laura.
I think so. Right.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, it appears to be a unanimous decision in the affirmative. It is.
Dinner time.
It's, next meeting, September 18th, 2023. Tracy, at your place. We'll see you then. The motion that we've all been waiting for, Mike's been waiting for since 6 o'clock.
You and kid. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.